You might not know it, but the footwear, apparel, and even the ski industry have traditionally produced a lot of production samples. So now we're working hard to digitalize some of that stuff and make that part of our business more sustainable. Hey Sam,
hey,
how are
Tim.
you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Why are you dressed like that?
Well, we're doing another sustainability video, you know, the hit show, and we're trying to do a bit about samples and how we're digitalizing that process, so I'm kind of committed to wearing samples. You wear samples?
Yeah, I wear samples actually, but I'm sample size. Do you feel comfortable like this?
I mean, it's a little snug, but I think camera will help out.
Okay.
It's all right.
Okay.
Thanks for interrupting.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye.
Tough crowd around here. Stick around. The process of making new products requires lots of samples and lots of prototypes. That means we end up with a lot of size medium apparel and size 8.5 shoes. No good for me. Once we finish with all those samples, we try to donate as many of them as we can to charity. But sadly, a lot of those samples never get used because they don't meet our standards for quality or safety. Watch yourself. So why do we need all these samples? Mostly it's Anne's fault because she needs to take photos of every product we make. It's not really Anne's fault. She's actually quite nice. I feel bad. In reality, we need samples in 3 key stages of the product creation process. First, there's design, where the artists envision what a future product will look like. The more they innovate, the more prototypes we need. Then our developers and testers take that product and work out the kinks to make sure it meets our performance and quality specifications. That can require a lot of samples. Finally, we send samples all around the world to our sales reps. I'm a sales rep. So they can go door to door with all the newest Salomon products and make sure your favorite retailer has them all. Can I interest you in some Salomon shoes?
So you can see how the amount of samples produced and the frequent flyer miles they rack up can escalate quickly and lead to products ending up in a variety of locations. How many samples are we talking about? The entire global footwear industry creates roughly 60 million pairs of sample shoes every year. That's nearly 1 pair of shoes for every person in France, and 5 times as many shoes as Salomon produces every year. As a company, Salomon has traditionally been responsible for more than 40,000 of those sample pairs. If you add in the shipping associated with those 40,000 pairs of sample shoes, we're talking about roughly 660 tons of CO2. That's the equivalent of the electricity consumed by 112 homes in 1 year.
112 homes. That's like half of Annecy. So in recent years, we've implemented more digital tools, and the people working with those tools are exploring ways to make our product creation process more efficient, and you guessed it, more sustainable. Let's start with a simple example, the design process of a helmet, which is really important when you're protecting a big brain like this one. This is Thierry. He's a helmet designer. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So this is a model that you start with?
Yes.
Made from what?
It's a half foam,
okay.
Very strong. Give us the possibility to have something really, really clean at the end.
So that's step 1. Can you show us the next step?
Yes, let's go.
So you have one model?
Yeah.
Then you're creating multiple models?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I create a specific mold like this, in silicone. The benefit is to create different versions and have a lot of model for the next step.
What's next?
The paint.
Paint it up, all right.
Yeah, this is the paint room, and here it's Eddie. This is the guy who do the paint.
Something's happening. Ooh. So that was really cool to see the process from start to finish, but I guess there's a lot of waste with like foam,
That's true.
resin, silicone, paint, is that true?
Yeah. And let's go upstairs to see the new process if you want.
Okay. My understanding is you can do everything we saw downstairs here now at your desk.
Exactly. So we don't need mold, we don't need silicone, we don't need resin.
Yeah.
And after the last step is the color, and we can improve the color and have different options quickly.
Try different
without
colors,
paint,
yeah.
without anything.
So that's the modern way. Less waste, more options, more colors, try more things,
Exactly.
explore more things.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Thanks for showing us that. It's
Thank
really
you.
interesting. Take care, man.
Bye.
Thanks. Thierry, just one more thing. Have you thought about maybe some flames along the side? You know? An eagle? Take it or leave it. Oh, we ready? I think they're missing out on the flames and the eagle. But anyway, we're here in footwear. Gonna talk to Megan. She's a designer. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
Ça va.
You're gonna tell us a bit about the old way and now the new way of creating footwear.
Ok. Comme tu peux le voir, avant, l'usine recevait uniquement des 2D pour le design. Aujourd'hui, on a la capacité de faire ce design en 3D pour avoir un prototype fidèle au dessin. Pour ça, on peut même mettre des matières sur certains logiciels et mettre tout ce qu'on veut comme accessoire.
How is this a more sustainable way to do the business of making footwear or designing footwear than avant?
Avant, on avait beaucoup plus d'échanges avec l'usine sur les prototypes, par exemple. Aujourd'hui, on peut avoir un modèle fidèle dès le départ de notre dessin du design.
Okay, and is it possible to make me a shoe with flames and a big eagle?
Non.
No?
Non.
So that's design. When it comes to performance, the footwear team is also using futuristic tools to optimize, streamline, simulate, and stimulate performance. Stimulate? Tristan, how are you, man?
Good, I can.
I heard a lot about this digital leg, the legend of the digital leg. What is this thing? What does it do?
We developed numerical model to predict some performance of shoes.
So it's like simulating a foot moving inside a...
Exactly, inside the shoes.
So what's that mean for prototyping and that sort of thing? Because we want to know if the stuff we're making performs, right? So when it comes to creating a new sole of a shoe or whatever it might be, this is helping us learn how it will behave before we build it?
Originally, to develop this kind of shoes, we used maybe 100 prototypes. So with this simulation, we can reduce to 10 times.
Okay.
So it allows us to improve the performance without any prototypes.
Okay. So you can learn a lot before you ever create something that's physical, basically.
Yep.
Oh, that's really cool. It seems like it's really giving us a digital leg up on the competition.
Yeah.
Good humor, huh?
Good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the time. This is really interesting. So that's a lesson in how digital technology is reducing the number of prototypes we have to make. The cool thing is it also allows us to explore endless design possibilities without ever physically making anything. Kind of like my job. We've talked about how modern tools have helped us when it comes to the design process and the performance testing process of creating products. But what about when it comes to presenting all the stuff that we do when the cameraman falls on the ground? What about when it comes to presenting all our new products to people around the world? I'm talking about sales reps, retail partners, that sort of thing. Emile, what's happening? This place is insane. What are all these samples and stuff? It's crazy. This is not just 1 year of samples?
No, Tim. It's 10 years of history of our sample.
History, okay.
Yes, just history because we are reusing a lot of sample to produce our next development years.
Yeah, like inspiration.
Exactly.
But then there's a lot of stuff here like that we probably don't use very much. Like, is there some waste here?
Yeah, some pair that we waste because we have some holes inside. But you're right, we can reduce it because we have a lot of color declination and we can imagine to reduce it.
Okay, so in the past we would be like making, say, a new speed cross in like 5 new colors. And then we would create that speed cross in 5 new colors, like a sample, times hundreds probably.
Exactly.
And then we would send them all over the world.
Yeah.
And now what do? Like, we can use digital tools for that, so we don't have to create all of these?
Yeah, the digital tool are good enough to produce a high rendering picture, and we can easily use it instead of physical sample.
Okay, but how much savings are we talking about by switching from physical samples to digital samples going forward or year to year?
From now until 25, the objective of this program is to save 1,300 tons of CO2, and after it will be 400 tons per year of saving. Yeah.
Okay, so that's something. Good work, man. This seems like a project. Do you have any size 13s that you're not using? I'll take them off your hands if you have anything.
Let me check them.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah.
You're hilarious.
Enjoy.
That's funny. You know what? I'm going to keep these. I think they're about Kilian's size, so I'm going to give them to Kilian.
That's not funny, Tim. Not cool at all.
Obviously, here in the ski department, we don't have the benefits of a digital leg. Once we know a ski performs, it's time to make it look cool. That's when we come here to the design department. This is our head of design, David Farcott.
It's Farco team.
Whatever. My understanding is these are mock-ups, and we've always made a ton of them. What's the deal? Why?
Yeah, it's for like boards of skis really important to more than just look on a 2D print to see how they feel. Look at the exact material aspect, the thickness and the color details. And so it's been a few years that we've speed up our process to be able to do digital mock-ups instead of physical ones.
So not just taking these and bringing them all over the place?
Yeah, we used to travel the world with a lot of different mock-ups to show them to the people we want to consult.
Bags of skis.
Yeah, bags of skis into trains and planes.
Yeah.
No, we've managed to get the same level of experience by just sending images, like 3D images through emails and then discussing them. So even when the creative team was working from home, we were able to actually discuss the ultimate details of skis.
I guess the future arrived quickly for you, right? You had to speed things up. What's the future look like? Will everything be digital in the future? Or?
Yeah, we're definitely not coming back. We'll use much more digital images for showing product on catalogs to replace some samples as well. But still, we will need to create always at least one mock-up of the ski, just so that it all looks, feels exactly like it should be.
Right, but still far less waste, far less skis we don't need and won't use.
Yeah, just what we need, no more.
Perfect. Thanks, I'll let you get going wherever you're going. I know this is just a really...
Bye, Tim.
We just bumped into each other like that, it's random. I know what you're gonna say. Digital samples, they require energy as well. But studies have shown that the environmental impact of those digital samples is far less than all those physical samples. So maybe it's not perfect, but we're making progress. Thanks for watching, and if you have questions or comments that are not about my outfit, type them below. Hey, Sam, here she comes. You wanna run a little? Can I join you? Wow, guess she doesn't like the sample kit.